What's going on with Bernie Sanders? Got a very interesting invite. Bernie Sanders himself. Bernie Sanders has been invited, and I quote, to the Vatican. What? Oh, look at him. Is it me or does he look like Doc from Back to the Future? You all remember Doc? Looking like a mad scientist. Look at him. Well, it says here, Vatican has invited Bernie Sanders to speak on moral economy. See, I have an issue with this. I'm not Catholic. I'm a born-again, spirit-filled believer. But I have an issue with this because even though I'm not Catholic, there are millions of Catholics around the world. I'll say billions. Billions of Catholics around the world. But there are millions of Catholics here in the U.S. And we know that this is a political season. So I see what the Vatican's doing. The Vatican, in a nutshell, is publicly showcasing who they support to be president of the United States of America. Doc from Back to the Future. Apparently Bernie Sanders. Let me just read some of the headline here. It says here, Bernie Sanders has been invited to discuss building a moral economy. By the way, this is a man who does not believe in God. He's an atheist. He believes that doing good, as long as you do good works, yes, he's Jewish, but he does not believe in God. He says, as long as you do good works, then you're a good person. Now, he stated this publicly on actual town halls and these debates that he's had with Hillary Clinton. Anyway, it says here, Bernie Sanders has been invited to discuss building a moral economy at the Vatican, the Democratic presidential candidate has announced. During his appearance on MSNBC's Morning Joe Friday, Sanders confirmed the summons, saying, and I quote, he was very moved by the invitation, despite differing views with Pope Francis. He goes on to say, I'm a big fan of the Pope. Obviously, there are areas that we disagree on, women's rights or gay rights. But he has played an unbelievable role of injecting a moral consequence into the economy. People think Bernie Sanders is radical, he continued. Read what the Pope is writing. Bernie Sanders has long championed economic reform, advocating for an economy that works for all people rather than the top 1%. He's talking about the idolatry of money, the worship of money, the greed that's out there, Sanders said of the Pope. He's trying to inject a sense of morality, of how we do economics. And we need that absolutely desperately. Now, Sanders did not confirm whether he will in fact speak at the Vatican. All right, so we basically have two socialists. Yes, I said two. I'm not talking about Hillary, even though she is. I'm talking about Pope Francis meeting with Bernie Sanders. Did you know Pope Francis is a socialist? Bet you didn't know that. All right, there may have been a few of you who knew that. But the point is that the Vatican is apparently endorsing Bernie Sanders for president of the United States of America. We know we're living in the last days. We're living in the last days. This is what's going to, not this particular headline, but socialism, Marxism, communism. Let's focus specifically on socialism and with some emphasis on Marxism. That ideology is going to help usher in the mark of the beast system according to Revelation chapter 13. Now, if we actually get a socialist president running this nation, just, you want to look at Venezuela. Just do a little stockpile right now. Get some extra food, extra water. I mean that. Because capitalism will go bye-bye. Our $1 trillion deficit, forget it. You think taxes are high? Let's talk about 90th percentile. I mean it. It will be a mess. We remember what happened when the president of France, Francois Hollande, was voted in democratically in that nation. There were people who owned companies. I mean, you think, companies are leaving America now. The majority of companies, I don't say the majority, but there was a large amount of companies that left France because Francois Hollande jacked the taxes up to 90%. 90%. I look forward to getting some updated developments on this particular headline. See what is discussed. The idolatry of money, the worship of money, the greed that's out there. Oh dear. Signs of the times.